name is Gary Siliker. I'm retired military. The artifact belongs to the Legion down in Mahone Bay. Who gave it to the Legion? Nobody knows. I wasn't sure what it was at first, and it's a metal box. So I did a bit more research on that and found it's actually part of a kit for gas detection. So that's what I brought you today.
For all the horrors in the trenches of Europe during the Second World War, there was one threat that never materialized: poison gas. In the First World War, soldiers on both sides suffered and died from chemical attacks. By World War II, the Axis and Allies had stockpiled chemical weapons and improved gas masks, respirators, and other defenses. The Germans had invented a deadly new substance named sarin and produced enough of it to kill millions of people. But Adolf Hitler never authorized its use, despite deploying Zyklon B and other chemical agents in his death camps. The Allies were prepared to use their poison gases in response to chemical attack, but thankfully, it never happened.
Okay, Gary, welcome to the show, and I'm glad to see you brought in a very interesting artifact. I was wondering if you could tell us what you know about it.
Okay, this here was given to me at the Legions, and they said, somebody brought this back from the war. Do you know what it is? And I said, no, I don't. They said, well, take it with you and see if you can figure it out. So since then, I've just done a bit of research online and found out it was some sort of sensing kit for gas during World War II. It is marked for the German Army. And that's about all I know.
Right.
So over to you.
Okay, so what you brought in is a carrier for the ampules that the Germans used for a chemical detection kit.
Okay.
So the top pulls up and then it folds down.
Mm-hmm.
This was worn on the belt. We can see where the belt goes through these loops here. So they'd open this up, take out the little ampule, put it in the pump sort of thing, close it up. It would crush the two little glass beads so the chemicals would go into the batting. You'd pump it a few times to suck the air through. And then if it changed the colors in accordance with this, it meant that chemical agent was there. There was 4 different ampules to test for 4 different types of chemical agents. So Gary, when you were researching this artifact, what did you discover in the way of why they were used during warfare?
Well, the first gas attack I remember reading about was January 1915 in Russia. It didn't really work. The one we all know about, the big successful attack, was Second Battle of Ypres, April 1915, when the Germans unleashed chlorine gas on the French. The French territorials took it right in the face, and they just broke and ran. The Canadians filled the gap. They took it too, and I mean 2,000 guys died there in 3 days at that battle. But the young German troops were really nervous about moving forward through that gas field because nobody knew for sure what was going on. So this hesitancy of the enemy to, okay, we got this going, but, and it's hurting those guys, but is it going to hurt us if we move through it, eh?
Yep.
So, you know, it works both ways. But
well, and that's the issue with gas. It's indiscriminate, and you can't control it once you launch it.
And if the wind shifts and starts blowing back at you,
Precisely.
it hasn't worked out so well.
Mustard gas is an irritant. So it's a liquid spray, so the droplets go on you. And it's not unlike poison ivy. There's a liquid on the leaves. When you rub it against you, your skin will turn red, or you get some bubbling. Well, imagine the bubbling probably 100 times worse. Then imagine ingesting poison ivy and it going down your throat and causing irritation, swelling, and bubbles. Well, that's what mustard gas would do to you. Chemical agents were used throughout the First World War, and as a result of that, there was a bit of an expectation that it may be used again, which is why all the troops were issued with gas masks. However, in 1925, they signed what was called the Geneva Protocols, and that was to ban the use of chemical agents during warfare. The signatories to that said that they would not use it. Of course, all bets are off in warfare, as we both know. Besides losing, and as a last-ditch effort, it probably doesn't matter what they have signed and what they've agreed to. So,
I knew that, to the best of my knowledge, gas as a weapon wasn't used in the Second World War. Hitler had such an aversion towards it because of his experience as a corporal in the Great War.
On the Western Front, it wasn't used. However, the Japanese used chemical and biological agents against the Chinese when they were invading China.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
During the Second World War, the Japanese used both chemical weapons and biological weapons against the Chinese. The difference between chemical and biological is that the biological makes you sick from a disease of some sort, They drop small animals with fleas that were infected with the plague, and as well as using other chemical agents against them. The Japanese, in the tail end of the Second War, when the Americans were getting close to Japan, there were plans for them to use biological agents against the Americans, but both times it failed because the vehicle that was bringing the agents was discovered and destroyed. And then even as recently as the Iran-Iraq war, Iraq used chemical agents against Iran. So they're still out there. You know, as you remember in your time in the Army, and as I do, we always prepared for chemical warfare. We always had our gas masks. We always did the decontamination and all that sort of good stuff. And you as an engineer, I'm sure you did that more than I did as a tanker.
Yeah. But I'm glad we didn't have to carry those damn gas masks in Kandahar.
Yeah. Well, Gary, thank you so much for bringing this wonderful artifact in. It's not something that we have in the museum. So should the Legion decide that they don't see it as part of their display in the branch and would like to send it our way, we'd really appreciate receiving it.
Well, I'll be having a meeting at the Legion, and I'll bring it up and ask them, okay?
Yeah, wonderful, because, you know, it's one of those things that probably in a display case of the Legion doesn't look like anything, and
Just,
yeah, whereas, you know, with a little bit of an explanation or incorporating it into one of our displays, it might bring some education to people, or we could even use it in our education kit that we send out to schools.
yeah.
It's good to see you again.
Good to see you again, too.
There's legions across Canada that are full of very interesting artifacts. We need to open the doors, get people through, and tell the stories that our predecessors brought home with them.